Why did the content creator cross the road to grift on the other side and scam the people they saw? Anyways, purpose in life is not one size fits all. Some people find purpose through faith. Some find it through family, politics, community, activism, art, education, business, service, or survival. Some people are born into a culture that hands them a purpose early. Others have to fight through confusion, trauma, bad guidance, and the Spirit Airlines version of childhood development just to figure out who they are. Purpose is not what you do, purpose is the direction that gives your life structure. Because when a person does not have a purpose, they can become like a self-driving vehicle with no destination. The engine is running, the lights are blinking, the car is moving, but nobody programmed the route. So now it is making random turns, stopping in weird places, blocking the intersection, and everybody around it is confused. Word to Waymo. Matter of fact, actually, today, just in traffic, in the fast lane, a Waymo vehicle cut me off. Granted, that vehicle was going about 50, speed limit was 60. I was going the speed limit plus the bonus mileage, and it just cut me off. And I thought about all of those other commercials. But they lucky I'm a well driver. Otherwise, I would have been owning Waymo. It would have been J New Orleans Mo because I would have sued the brake shoes off that company if we would have had an accident off of some crash dummy stuff like that. That is how some people live. They are moving but not aiming, busy but not building, loud but not leading. They have motion but no mission. And when you do not choose a purpose, life has a funny way of assigning you one. Sometimes that assigned purpose becomes drama, chasing relationships, drinking, gossip, hustling backwards, scamming, gang life, or joining the pyramid scheme praise team where everybody is a CEO but nobody can explain the product. Purpose matters because without it, people often build their identity around whatever gives them attention, safety, money, approval, or escape. Not to mention, the grifters benefit from you not having a purpose because once they fill out their audience enough to know what the grift is, they put the foot on the gas and they be like, I 10 by 10. My favorite thing, childhood. A lot of this starts in childhood. Children do not just find themselves in a vacuum. They find themselves through exposure, opportunity, structure, safety, and repetition. The child in band starts bonding with band kids. Athletes bond with athletes. The gamer bonds with gamers. The kid in theater find other creative kids. The child in church, debate, dance, coding, art, or sports often gets an early identity through structured activity. That does not mean every extracurricular activity creates a healthy adult. Let's not act like every football team was a healing circle with cleats, but structure gives children a place to put their energy. Research has long connected after school hours with increased risk for juvenile crimes, partly because lack of supervision and lack of constructive activity can create room for trouble. One review noted that juvenile crime often peaks during after school hours, which is part of the rationale for organized after school programs. So when people say kids just need to stay out of trouble, the real question is, what are they supposed to stay inside of? A child with no safe outlet may still find one. It might be books, video games, television, the internet, or the streets. And for some kids, the streets offer something their home did not: identity, protection, belonging, reputation, and a role. That is how a child who never had a healthy place to belong can end up around people who make danger feel like family. When no purpose becomes a personality, as adults, this does not magically disappear. Social media really is revealing it, a lot of it in a lot of people. And it's not something to be embarrassed about. When you see there's something that you can grow from or change, that's actually an opportunity. The problem is when you have a life that doesn't make sense and you've done everything right. That person has it harder than the person who is slacking on things and who's neglecting things and who rejected certain ideas, because the person who's doing everything right and still not having motion, they don't know where to start. Some adults start with basic jobs, bills, home, routine, work, home, sleep, repeat. Then boredom creeps in. Then comparison creeps in. Then social media starts whispering like a broke life coach with a ring light. Travel more, buy this, go out more, upgrade your life, start this hustle, become that person. Your old life is embarrassing. Now people are buying things they do not need, going places they do not even enjoy. Word to all of the people I be seeing on them trips when I've been having to go to work trips or personal trips. Not all, but it's many people that you could see that's doing it for social media. Y'all flashing in countries that the U.S. Embassy tells you is level 3 and 4 danger, and y'all up here with Gucci this, Gucci that. Baby, your coochie gonna be on somebody's hat. Y'all keep playing. Anyways, now taking pictures for people they don't even like, wondering why they still feel empty when the lights stop. That is because an image is not a purpose. Aesthetic is not alignment. A book flight is not healing. A luxury bag is not a personality. A brunch table is not a breakthrough. And a passport stamp does not mean your soul has been anywhere. People can get everything. Maybe no spam call formed against me shall prosper. People can get everything society told them to want and still feel spiritually underfed. The outside upgraded, but the inside is still buffering. Social media has made it easier than ever to borrow someone else's dream and mistake it for your own. You see somebody traveling, so now you need to travel. You see someone in a relationship, so now being single feels like a disease. You see someone buying a car, and suddenly your paid off car starts looking like a personal attack. First of all, if your car paid off and your cell phone is paid off, when I was transitioning from being up to date with everything, and because that was one of my things that I was known for at one point, was, oh, you always got the newest this, you always got the newest that. And it was a coincidence. It wasn't because I thought what people thought when I was getting the stuff. I felt like when it came to new things, I liked to have the most up to date because I didn't want to have all of the issues of things that's older because they typically have less support. But if you have a car that's paid off, take care of your car. I don't know you or your people, but I know the people I've seen, especially in New Orleans and Houston. They don't take care of their cars. The car's always filthy. The trunk be full of all kinds of random items. You might find missing bodies from Katrina in the back of their trunk. They wouldn't even know no better. They don't clean it up. You can customize your car. You can get it wrapped if it's yours. You can get new rugs for it. If y'all have a Ollie's, Ollies, that is one of the most reasonably priced discount stores I've ever been in my life. They have everything name brand. It's overstock. You can get car stuff. You can get stuff to clean your car. I just got a vacuum from them the other day. A little $15 vacuum. That bad boy sucked more than people at work sucking up to their boss. So take care of your stuff because it's yours. Like, they've tricked you into wanting everything new, but you do not own it. When you have a payment on something, you do not own it. The only thing that's an exception to that is a house. I know people say, oh, you still got to pay taxes. Baby, y'all look at taxes like a burden. Taxes is to help the community you live in. That's the whole reason most communities are being drained, because they don't have enough taxpayers in them. And a lot of the people who pay a lot of the taxes, when they move, the area dies because they take everything with them. So, I mean, I understand that, but you technically kind of do own your house a little bit more when you have a mortgage or a deed and stuff like that. Yes, you have payments, but they have so many different ways that you can save on mortgage. Not to mention, if you got a mortgage 10 years ago, you probably paying $1,000 a month for whatever house you have, versus rent for that same size probably increased 20 times. So depending on your situation, if you plan to live where you live at for more than 5 years, sometimes a mortgage may be the best thing you could do. But people have fear because they see all of these bad houses. But the way around that is to get more knowledge about homes. Maybe bring some people you know or yourself, learn about plumbing, learn about electricity, learn about inspection. They need inspectors. So people who looking for a career change, looking to being a home inspector, you could be the person that can help the people in your neighborhood. You could be the advocate that pulls the lid on all them scamming people. But take care of stuff that you own. Like, when it comes to vehicles, first of all, many of y'all are not going to like the vehicles that's coming in the future. So you might want to get you one now. And if you got a car note on it, pay that bitch as fast as possible. And don't go to no buy here, pay here lots. Them people are cheating you. And learn how to use the Blue Book Value website, Kelly Blue Book, because that's a sell point that you can negotiate when you're trying to get a car. When you see that a car with 100,000 miles that's 10 years old is worth 5,000, but they're trying to sell it to you for 13,000. But anyways, that is the social media problem. Social media often shows the highlight, not the invoice. It shows the beach, not the credit card balance. It shows the soft life, not the overdraft fee doing gymnastics in the background. Like I mentioned in previous videos, they have people that's working multiple jobs just to keep up a image. If they went plain Jane for a few months, they would be able to pay their bills for a few months ahead. But it's like you being stuck on a rat wheel, like the little hamster wheel, but you got chains around it, you can't get off. And that's what a lot of people live like. It shows the engagement ring, not the emotional hostage negotiation behind closed doors. And for teenagers and young adults, the influence is even heavier. Pew Research Center reported in 2024 that teens use platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat remains widespread, with many teens saying they use the internet almost constantly. When you are constantly exposed to other people's lives, your own life can start feeling insufficient, not because it is empty, but because you keep comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's filter commercial. That is why purpose matters. Purpose gives you a filter. When you know who you are, every trend does not get an application to move into your spirit. Not to mention, purpose is a part of all of the other things of growing with yourself, of individuation, of self-reflection, of self-accountability for things that you may be repeating and you don't know. Because when you get into rerun mode, everyone who sees the play can use you, and that's what's going on now, y'all. And I understand this information is not meant to be absorbed on the first hearing because it's speaking against a life that a lot of people have lived most of their lives. Some people are second and third generations of family that have repeated the same cycle that you're currently in now. So even though it's hurting you, it's familiar, and people prefer the devil they know than the mystery of the unknown, even if the unknown may be a blessing. And I'm not a salesman. I'm not selling you anything. This is just information that maybe people could listen to at their own time. But eventually you're going to see that all of this stuff is true. That's one thing I do know. I stand on that. This ain't no opinion. This is 35 plus years of living, reading, studying philosophy, psychology. No degree though, not a doctor, but I definitely peep the plays and the games that a lot of people are living, and even people in my life. And the thing that make it hard for a lot of people to break away from the cycle is the people that they think they're gonna lose. But when you get away from these people that your growth disturbs, you will see a different life. Your brain will change. You will be able to make healthier connections. You won't be repeating the same connections you have now because your brain ain't gonna be in that frequency no more. You're not gonna have it in you to want to be around somebody who always beefing on the internet, or people who talking about pick a side because she beefing with another bitch at a club for over a nigga, or he beefing over with another dude over a hoe, or they beefing over gang shit and all kind of other stupid shit that don't have nothing to do with them, that leads them to death and in jail, which makes a lot of people rich when you die and you go to jail. So, anyways, dating. Some people make dating their entire purpose. Their identity becomes finding the one. Their emotional weather depends on who texts back, who liked the story, who committed, who disappeared, who act funny, and who is wasting their time. They begin to see proximity to commitment as value. The closer someone is choosing them, the more valuable they feel. The further someone pulls away, the more worthless they feel. That is dangerous, because if your purpose is romantic validation, you can become vulnerable to anyone who knows how to imitate interests. Some people are not dating for love. They are dating for housing. I've seen it. Transportation. I've seen it. Ego, sex, comfort, attention, control, or access. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. That is not a lie. That is factual, because I can provide sufficient evidence for each of those scenarios. Now, granted, you may feel like it's not applicable to your environment, which is perfectly fine, because the earth is pretty large. It fits 8 billion people right now, I think. That's a lot of space. And when a person with no purpose dates another person with no purpose, that relationship can be two lost Uber drivers arguing over the GPS. Nobody knows where they're going, but everyone has an attitude. This is how people end up dating someone who wrecks their cars. Now, granted, disclaimer, this is not anyone in general, but a lot of people about to get hit with this one, because, again, who wrecks their car, drains their money, brings drama to their doorstep, embarrasses them in public, and somehow still gets defended like a nonprofit project. Love is real, but love without discernment can become a bill you pay with your pace. Yes, and all too many people who they don't just settle with the relationship being subpar. they go the extra mile to add parsley to the relationship, to season it up. Okay, that person don't have good credit. Let me put a car on my credit. But then when mad day come and that person wreck your car, or when y'all get divorced and now the person don't want to give you your car back, or they haven't been paying the car note for the last year y'all been together, and now you have all kind of debt, and you not only getting divorced, you going bankrupt. But all of this start from childhood anyway. That's the boring part about life. Like pretty much a lot of the adult shit we do, if it ain't nothing traumatic that happened post childhood, it's usually some kind of connection to childhood. So yeah. I didn't believe it either. My first therapy session post PTSD, when I wanted to talk about my leg being crushed and bleeding out offshore and dying and all that other stuff, the man wanted to talk about childhood. And I was just thinking at that moment, bro, I am off the deep end. Watch as I dive in. We are far from the shallows now. But it makes sense now, even though at that time it wasn't the right time. But yeah, I get it though. No purpose, no boundaries, no breaks. People without purpose are often easier to influence, not because they're stupid. I think they are, but to be nice, not because they're stupid, but because empty space invites occupation. If a person does not know what they stand for, they may stand wherever the crowd is standing that day. If they do not know what they value, they may adopt the values of whoever gives them attention. If they do not have goals, they may become overly invested in other people's mess. Shout out to my family. That is why some people can argue about celebrities, politics, sports, and strangers all day, but cannot explain what they're building in their own life. And those kind of people are the ones who I feel like are stupid. If you just minding your business, absorbing content, that's between you and your data service provider. But when it comes to people who not only absorb ridiculous amounts of content, they in every comment section arguing with people, and then they all of a sudden become public relations for whatever person being discussed. And it's very weird because some of the conversations could actually go deeper, but you idiots love to get in comment section and everybody's like that. Not everybody's like that. Everybody is like that. Oh, this person gonna do better. Oh, you just a hater. Like, y'all are really anyways. And people without purpose come in all shapes, sizes, tax brackets, and family titles. Some are broke, some are rich, some are educated, some are popular, some are religious, some are spiritual, some are the family favorite, some are the workplace favorite, some are the loudest person in the room with the least direction in the building. A lack of purpose does not always look like failure. Sometimes it looks successful on paper, but chaotic in practice. Here's a secret. In today's technology, if you have basic reading skills or basic skills to self-teach, you don't need to know everything in your brain. As long as you know how to find the answer. That is something I've always lived my life by. I don't know everything, but I know how to find the answer for something. If it's a law question, I know to look up law resources or seek a law representative that is reputable with, credentials, not imaginary ones. Or when it comes to mechanical stuff, I didn't go to Ford School of Mechanics with the crackouts when they doing your car and your oil change, but I definitely know how to pull up tools online to show me what I need to do. So that way you don't have to feel like, oh, because I didn't learn this in the past, I'm never going to learn it. You don't need to learn it. You don't even need to know another language. If you know how to use a translation app, and in the moment when a person's speaking another language, you know to open your phone, pull that app out, let the app translate it, you talk back to the app and have the patience to do that. Y'all could talk to anybody in the world. I know when I was in the Spanish speaking country, that's what I did. Everybody else was trying to struggle to translate and all this other stuff. No. So use your tools. Y'all have tools. Y'all know what tools are. Y'all just abuse some of them for some people. Everything is a tool, good and bad, but use it. Alcohol is a tool. It can get you drunk, or it can make somebody money by getting you drunk. See what I'm saying? The psychology of purpose. Purpose is not just motivational speaker glitter. It is psychological weight. Researchers describe purpose in life as having goals, directions, and a sense that life has meaning. Studies have associated stronger purpose with better mental health, lower stress, resilience, and even positive physical health outcomes. Purpose helps because it gives the brain a frame. It answers what matters to me. What am I building? What do I need to avoid? What kind of people fit in where I'm going? What habits support the life I claim I want? Psychologically, purpose can reduce the need to chase every emotional impulse. It can help people delay gratification. It can help them tolerate discomfort because the discomfort has meaning. That is why a person with purpose can say no to things that look fun but do not fit. A person with purpose can skip the drama. A person with purpose can leave the group chat unread. A person with purpose can watch everyone else run towards the mess and say, I'm not going to sit this one out because I have rent goals and a nervous system I'm trying to keep moisturized. Baby, you ain't gotta worry about me with no group chat. I find that real suspect when people wait till they trying to plan something to suddenly want to get all of these people in group chats. Why you ain't introduce us to each other to be familiar before that? Like, why am I doing something intimate because I know you, but all of these other people is your people? That's weird to me, especially for the people who always have drama, and when they go somewhere that you ain't been with them, oh, so and so she was picking on me this time and all of this other stuff. It's always all of that, but you think I'm gonna be comfortable being in a group chat with these musty ass people that you know? No. When trauma gets normalized instead of repaired, a lot of people lost their purpose because of childhood misguidance, neglect, instability, or absence. Some people were never asked what they love. Some people were never protected long enough to develop a dream. Some were parentified, me. Some were criticized for being different. I was, but once I started fighting, people really stopped doing that. Like, as long as people thought I was quiet, yeah. And then once I had that random growth spurt in 4th grade where I went from being like 4 something to like 5'9", 5'11", yeah, it was over. Some were only praised when useful. Some were raised around chaos so consistently that peace felt suspicious, my siblings. Then adulthood came, and people are expected to function like they were not emotionally raised in a haunted house with Wi-Fi. This is why repair, reset, and review need to become normal adult practices. Not just move on, not just pray about it, not just that's family. Baby, word to soul food, fuck the family. Not just everybody goes through something. Yes, everybody does go through something, but not everybody processes it. Not everybody heals it. Not everybody stops repeating it. Some people call it personality when it really is a wound with a wardrobe. Some people call it loyalty when it is really fear of abandonment. Some call it being real when it is really emotional immaturity with a Bluetooth speaker or speakerphone, like the people in public. Purpose requires review. You have to ask, is this really me? Or is this who I became to survive? Is this my dream? Or was I assigned this? Do I actually want this, or do I want the approval attached to it? Do these people support my purpose, or do they benefit from me not having one? That review can change your life. But don't talk about it with people when you having a review, because if you telling a person who benefit from you being lost, hey, I think I may be finding a sense of direction. Baby, most people are unconscious. That's why we have such a messed up society. But so they not gonna consciously plan to stop you from growing, but their nervous system is gonna program itself to keep you where you at by whatever means necessary. Mental health content, trauma dumping, and emotional contagion. We also have to talk about the internet. There's a difference between honest mental health conversation and turning crisis into content. People are trauma dumping online, spiraling on live stream, over drinking, using substances, fighting, threatening themselves, and broadcasting breakdowns while thousands of viewers watch like it's premium entertainment. That affects people. The CDC has guidance for communities responding to suicide, I pronounced it wrong on purpose, clusters, and notes that exposure can happen indirectly through media reporting or other communication channels. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention also warns that irresponsible or sensational coverage can contribute to contagion risk and recommends careful non-sensational reporting. Also, I don't think I have anybody over here. I don't know, because I don't look at analytics. I'm not about to get on the dopamine train of seeing a number today and expecting it for every video. So unfortunately, people, no analytics for me, comments included. Even though y'all can catch me in comments on the other videos, I don't even read what they say in under those, because I'm not here for that. I say what I need to say and I get off. I don't, unfortunately. But when it comes to people saying words differently, before I stopped reading comments, I used to see a lot of pages, usually none with no picture, complaining about the person pronouncing stuff a certain way. But for people who are unaware, you can't say certain stuff on here. Now, for people who monetize, they may lose monetization, but depending on the severity of the word, you can have the video just completely taken down. So if my message is important, I'm going to use fake words to make sure that the message stays intact. So if people want to hear the word pronounced correctly, go to Twitter somewhere or go look at Pornhub or something. Like, don't get from over here. Research is also examining that self-harm content on social media. A 2025 study found that exposure to self-harm content on social media may be a near-term risk factor for self-harm urges and behaviors among vulnerable viewers. That does not mean we shame people who are suffering. It means we stop turning suffering into a circus. And it's back to the, because if a person is already struggling, repeatedly consuming despair, rage, breakdowns, humiliation, and hopelessness can seep into the mind. The brain is not a trash can with unlimited storage. You cannot feed it digital sewage all day and then wonder why your spirit smells like a backed up canal in August. Purpose helps protect your mental diet. When you know what you're building, you become more careful about what you consume. Not to mention, the sooner that you learn the error of your ways, the less repairing you have to do. Imagine waiting until you almost at the end of life trying to fix your life. Like years of neglect to your body, years of neglect to your health, your mind, your social life. Like though y'all gotta not y'all. People should research more about how people in, like, as far as how many men are in homes alone, how many women are in homes alone. Like, y'all thinking all of these people around forever. History and patterns show us it's too many old people dying alone. And when you see their young pictures, grandma and grandpa be fine. They'll be fine in their younger days. You can see that they was at all of the events and all of that, but now they in a home and nobody come see them. Like, the present is really a trap for a lot of people, because you put so much energy towards things that are temporary and or that have no benefit to you. And the people who benefit from you make you feel so wanted and needed that it's almost hard to stop. Like, and I don't know, man. My purpose has always been clear to me. I love helping and educating people. Even before I had the language for it, I was always gathering information, learning, observing, and trying to become somebody people could turn to. And people, they don't like hearing that if they feel like they don't see that in themselves. I have always been literate. I have always known how to hustle. As a child, I used to sell homework for $2 and test answers for 10. Now, as an adult, I can admit that was unethical. But when parents are taking money meant for you and having a ball, who else could I call? The Better Business Bureau of Childhood, the Department of Y'all Need to Stop Playing with Me. That was a child trying to create options in an environment where options were limited. As I got older, that purpose grew. But I became the coworker who trained the new hires, the person who squashed workplace beef so we could get back to making money, the person giving rise to people who live miles away, the person helping others understand systems, paperwork, jobs, money, conflict in life. But then I learned something important. Goodness needs protection, because if you are a giver without filters, takers will treat you like an all-you-can-eat buffet with no closing time. Word to me. I just speak on it because I already know it's people out there, mini me's, my sons and daughters out there. I know y'all out there experiencing the same life that I was unsure of. So I'm just cheating the system and getting y'all to understand this earlier. Save yourself some years, especially if you're still in your 20s. Baby, if you can get your head on right in your 20s, you a threat. You are a threat. Like, you could really get your life right at any age, but I notice the older people are, the more regret that they have in front of them. Like if they 30, they grow, but then they're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have did this in my 20s. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have did that in my 20s. Then if they 40, oh man, my 20s and my 30s. I thought 30s was supposed to be good. Like if age don't mean anything. That is just a indicator of how many days you have on earth. Each person is their own person. But goodness needs filters. There came a point where I had to review my personal life because some environments were derailing my purpose. Some people were not helpless. They were habitual. They had me programmed as the giver in their brain. So all they did was take. And when someone sees you only as a resource, they do not respect your limits. They respect your usefulness. That became a conflict of interest because my purpose is to help and educate, but some people were not trying to grow. They were trying to keep access. There were times I sacrificed my own personal reserve of money, time, energy, and peace to help people, not out of stupidity, but out of loyalty and love. And it's funny because when it's not a person, people can call that person stupid. Meanwhile, they'll justify supporting all kind of weird stuff and then they be the ones who be having the scams that was obviously scams, but then they want people to feel sympathy for them. So yeah, watch that word when it comes to people. Unless you're willing to take it back. Like for me, I don't really care what people think, so I don't watch my words. But loyalty without boundaries can turn you into a volunteer hostage. These were lessons, past tense, not recurring, not something I've been about and go right back to repeat like a rerun with worse lighting. The lesson was this: you can love people and still limit them. You can help people and still protect yourself. You can be kind and still not be available for everybody's emergency. I learned chill out with that love word, because if it ain't no substance in between me and somebody, baby, I don't allow them to use I love you. People are very manipulative with that. Not to mention, if a person is constantly destroying their own life, it is impossible for them to love me because they don't love themselves. They don't know what self-preservation is. They don't know what holding the self accountable and being aware and wanting to grow. Because a lot of people think that they can scam life. They think that they can get away with not doing certain things and somebody else gonna pick up the slack for them. But that's not the case, because there's a lot of lessons in life that you have to go through alone. You can have 100 people in your house with you. It's certain lessons that only you can resolve. That is why you see people who go balls to walls to addiction, because they're running from the many lessons. And they thinking that the alcohol is, or whatever, is just gonna keep taking them away, but all it's doing is destroying their body and their mind. People without purpose can become expensive, emotionally expensive, financially expensive, spiritually expensive, logistically expensive. They can bring mess to your life because mess is their main hobby. This is how they make cults, actually. I don't know if y'all realize that. A lot of people in cults, they weren't slow. They just was able to be manipulated, because when you don't have a purpose, you have an empty void inside of you. So that's like if you go in a room and you're trying to put some new furniture in and you only got one corner, you're going to put it in that one corner, right? You're not going to put it next to the couch or behind the dining table. You're going to put it somewhere where it's space. And that's what happens with people with no purpose. Other people can deposit their purpose into the space that you have where your purpose should have been. And it feels good sometimes, especially if you have other people doing it too. It makes you feel less crazy. That's all people care about. People don't really care about what's safe and what's normal. All they care about is as long as other people doing it with them. They can wreck vehicles, ruin finances, create drama, increase costs, drain time, and still act like you're wrong for noticing. They can be the people who always had a crisis but never a plan, always a need but never a boundary, always a complaint but you can never correct them, always a new situation but the same behavior wearing a different outfit. And some people date these individuals because it repeats what they saw growing up. Others do it because their self-esteem is so low that dysfunction feels familiar. They see themselves in people with no direction and mistake shared pain for compatibility. But shared damage is not the same as shared destiny. Just because two people are wounded does not mean they're building a hospital. Sometimes they're just passing the infection back and forth. Cutting access. One of the strongest things you can do is cut access without making a public announcement. You do not have to hold a press conference. You do not have to post a quote with a black background. You do not have to say new chapter, real ones know. Sometimes growth is quiet. Some people ask about others just to stir drama. They do not care about healing. They want an update so they can carry it like a hot plate to the next messy table. So when people ask about someone you have moved away from, change the subject or say, I hope they're doing well, and keep it moving. Because when you have a purpose, you stop giving tours of your boundaries. You do not need everybody to understand why access changed. Your piece does not require a committee vote. If somebody around me is dumb enough to still ask me about anybody that's not me, baby, you ain't no answer. That means that you missed the blocking spree. Because I'm not nobody's reporter to be asking people about nobody. Like that's annoying to me anyway, especially if we ain't talked in a while. But I find that Small-minded people brain be scrambling for conversation just because it's like they see you either in person or online, and then if they reach out and you respond back, their brain is scrambling like, how can I keep this going? Or if they have an ulterior motive, how can I put some lipstick on this pig and slip it in right quick? Like, people don't just do stuff unintentionally. That's why most people, if you don't communicate with them enough, they forget you exist. And they might randomly think about you if you're on social media, because that keeps people thinking about people that they would have forgot pre-social media. But people, like, it's so easy to get out of people rotation. Finding your purpose does not mean you wake up one day with a glowing scroll from heaven and a soundtrack. Sometimes it starts with questions. What naturally bothers me? What interests me? What do people come to me for? What problem do I keep noticing? What pain have I survived that could become wisdom? What do I want my life to stand for? What habits are pulling me away from that? Who benefits when I stay confused? Who gets uncomfortable when I grow? People, purpose is not always clear. Sometimes purpose is becoming stable. Sometimes it is breaking a family cycle. Sometimes it is raising children differently, building financial literacy, creating art, leaving survival mode. That should be the goal. That, I don't know what life people want, but baby, if you live in an emotional life, good luck to you. Unless you live in a small town with a population of 50 and all 50 people care about each other, in this jungle of the open world via internet or real life, you are in danger. Every video I'm going to remind y'all about distracted driving and emotional living. You are in danger. You are in danger. So it's like, purpose without boundaries get exploited. Purpose without discipline gets delayed. Purpose without self-aware gets hijacked. Purpose without healing gets distorted. That is why adults need repair, reset, and review. Repair what hurt you. Reset what misdirected you. Review what still has access to you. Final purpose. The danger of having no purpose is that the world is full of people, systems, trends, and distractions ready to assign you one. The streets will assign you one. Social media will assign you one. A toxic relationship will assign you one. A workplace, family dysfunction, politics, celebrities, gossip, addiction, consumerism, and chaos will all gladly give you something to worship. But when you have your own purpose, you're not easily swayed by people with no purpose, even if it's people close to you. Now, granted, that is the scary part about growing and learning, is that you a lot of people are gonna not be compatible. Now, you can still keep them around, but if they're small-minded, they're gonna take your growth as offense. Some of them may do it covertly, secretly, and some of them may do it overtly, directly. But that's not you. We as humans are all born separately for a reason, and if souls are real, we are deeper than whatever storyline we came into. So if you want to subject yourself to be limited, to hanging with a bunch of people who neglect their kids, who neglect their finances, who probably have all kind of dental issues that they pop over the counter drugs for instead of going to the dentist, or the type of people to get all of these accessories to their body just to make themselves be better than other people, or to family members who drag for each other like a dog and sleep with married men and sleep with each other's men and be homophobic while being down low themselves. Like, if you want to stay around those people, trying to impress those people, or even you may love your parents, but your parents may be failures. I know mine are, and I'm not afraid to say it. I know society loves to say, oh, don't talk about people. I'm not putting a picture up here. Y'all don't know who they are. So, but that's just something to admit, because that plays a big part in the life we lead. If we born from failure, the first direction we guaranteed is failure. If you born from success, the first direction you guaranteed is success. Because if you literally follow the blueprint of your parents, you will achieve the path they set for you. And a lot of us were born into failure. And that is why our lives are different and difficult than other people, because not only did our parents not set us up like they were supposed to, they had a lot of fucked up mindsets and fucked up ways and all kind of evil traditions, having you they knowing they sisters and brothers, your aunties and uncles and all these other people is fucked up too, and they forcing you to be cool with these bastards. Or they lying about how their relationship was with your grandma or your grandpa, acting like they was such a good child, but when you see how they act, you know that, okay, they must have had a messed up childhood, because this bitch is crazy. So you know, all of that's difficult though. But honestly, I hope y'all have a great weekend. I'm about to finish this and then I'm just gonna click in like I usually do. And of course, thank y'all for the support. But again, I don't I don't know what I'm thinking because I don't know. I don't see anything. I don't look. But thank you because I'm sure people do watch something. I don't know. But a toxic relationship will assign you one. Social media will assign you one. Family dysfunction will assign you one. Politics, celebrities, gossip, addiction, consumerism, and chaos will definitely give you something to worship. Find your purpose, not the one that looks good online, not the one that your family forced on you, not the one that trauma assigned you, not the one loneliness negotiated you into. Find the one that gives your life education, direction, dignity, discipline, and peace. Because a person with purpose is not perfect, but they are harder to program, harder to distract, harder to use, harder to derail. And when the world starts acting like a self-driving car with no destination, blocking the intersection and then confusing everybody around it, you can keep moving with intention because you know where you're going. And baby, that GPS is not for public editing. Yep. And that's my content is me taking my life experiences and also a lot of the different books I've read, finance books, psychology books. I save people time because maybe you wanted to read a certain book, but I could just break it down within 5 seconds. That way you don't have to waste your time reading some of them boring ass books. Some of them are good, but some of them are really boring and you could tell that the person was capped. But other than that, y'all don't even got to be cool with me or like me in real life. I just hope that you have more control over your life. That's all. Because for me, I don't like this modern day slavery. I haven't really done enough research and comparison to the last few decades to see if maybe this is something that's been going on and is really something that people don't realize how bad it is as far as keeping people lives so low to where all they do is bleed money all of the time. Like it's very strange. But anyways, it's Friday here. I don't know what part of the universe you're in, so make it count.